Okay, just in case anybody's interested, I'm going to give a quick run through of the route I took on my walk, whilst I also prepare loads of photos to post. So I started off from here at about 3 p.m, took the Healthy Spur track all the way over to the Australian Alps walking track, and it was then following that past Mount Nelsey, which I did summit, but it was misty, so no photos from there, and then down to Warby Corner here. From Warby Corner, it was then the Spion Kopje Fire Trail, and that took me up to the junction with the Grey Hills track, and I went a little bit past that and spent my first night on top of Spion Kopje. Got up with the sun and then took the Grey Hills track, which, although the contour lines are quite close together, they don't give you an idea of quite how difficult it was. So it was over the Grey Hills knob, over Little Mount Arthur and Mount Arthur, and then down this, and I'm glad to see they've included the word steep, horrible bit, down to the Bogong Creek saddle. Had lunch there on day 2, and then crossed over to fill up my water bottles at the river. This is where I discovered, unfortunately, my filter wasn't working, so I was on untreated creek water for the rest of the trip, but luckily it was all pretty good and quite pure. Then it was a 6-kilometre slog and climb pretty much all the way to the summit of Mount Bogong. So it's up the Quartz Ridge, over the Hooker Plateau, and I got to Mount Bogong pretty much dead on sunset. Last trip I did up Mount Bogong, the Staircase Spur and the Asdale Spur were my up and down routes. Fog was blowing in quite heavily at this point, so I wanted to find somewhere to camp, so I moved down a little bit and I spent the night at Hell Gap. Again, got up with the sun on day 3, and this was quite a day. This is an absolutely beautiful ridge with views pretty much all the way to about here, where you then enter the tree line again, and I dropped down to Cleve Cole Memorial Hut. It's then a pretty nice open valley along Camp Valley, to again the junction with the Australian Alps walking track. I went down the T-Spur, and again most of this is quite pleasant walking until you get to here and you get the word steep again. Follow that down, and then there's an incredibly steep drop down to the crossing over the big river. Crossing the big river, that it is chain assisted for high flow, pretty much an easy crossing at the time. And then because you've dropped down into a valley down to a river, you then have one hell of a slog coming back up. And that pretty much continues to about here on the Duane Spur. Then past Roper Hut. This is where most sensible people will spend the night, but I wanted to get home because I wanted a complete day at home before I start work again tomorrow. And it was then just a bit of a march again on the Australian Alps walking track, retracing my steps past the turn-off to Spion Kopje, past Mount Nelsey, and then back to the Healthy Spur Trail, and I got back to my car at approximately 6 p.m. that day. So yeah, that was the route. According to my GPS, 60.82 kilometres overall. Absolutely fantastic walk, although I won't be doing it again for quite some time. Anyway, if you're interested, thank you. If not, then why the hell have you watched this video?